All right, so I'm Mr. Robinson, and I would like to take a few minutes to go over the information that was presented at the Google Meet on September 16th that details the Washington, D.C. trip. I know that a lot of you were unable to make it for numerous reasons, which is completely fine. So I'm creating this video to cover all of the information that was in that Google Meet. Now, before I go any further, I would like to promote the Facebook group that I have created. If you search LUMS 8th grade DC trip, you can find that. I do my best to post updates there. It's a quick way to get information out to people. It's also nice that once we go to DC, I will do some live streaming and I will do a handful of check-ins so you can kind of keep tabs on where your child is at in Washington, D.C. Now, I'll put this slide up here because I just want you to see that this DC trip is something that students look forward to, and we have a phenomenal time, both the students and, to be honest, the teachers. This is just the highlight of our year. So many students say that this is the highlight of their middle school experience, going to Washington, D.C. So I hope that by the time this video is over with, you will strongly consider allowing your student to go forward with planning to attend the 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip. Now, for many years, we used a company named Main Street Tours to coordinate our trip, and unfortunately, they have gone out of business. But I am proud to announce that we have partnered with Prime Tours. Kevin Thruman, the owner of Prime Tours, was with us in the Google Meet. He's a retired teacher from Westerville City Schools. I have numerous friends from Westerville City Schools that have used Prime Tours, and I feel very confident that they're going to be a great partner going forward. So what I'd like to do is spend just a few minutes kind of going through the itinerary, the details of the trip, what we're going to see, and then we'll get into the details of the cost, and we'll take a look at the first fundraising opportunity. So one of the places that we will be attending is Arlington National Cemetery. When we go to Arlington National Cemetery, we will see the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We will see John F. Kennedy's grave. We will walk up to the Arlington House that overlooks and is the original structure there at Arlington National Cemetery. It's also important to understand that while we are at Arlington National Cemetery, there's usually on average 13 funerals that take place during a day. Fallen soldiers, people who have protected our freedom, are actively being buried still at Arlington. So one of the things that we do is we ask that students dress nicely for that stop. Now, I'll give those details once we get closer to the trip on the dress code for that stop. It's nothing that's unreasonable. It's going to be hot. Students are going to be walking a lot. And when I mean walking a lot, students are going to be walking a lot. It is a lot of walking on that trip. So let's make sure we keep that in mind. But I'll talk more specifically about dress code for that stop and dress code for the trip in general in the spring. We will be touring all of the major monuments on the National Mall. So we will begin with the National World War II Memorial. We'll do a wreath-laying ceremony there at the Ohio Pillar to commemorate the fallen soldiers from Ohio that died in World War II. We will visit Lincoln Monument. We'll take a look at Vietnam Wall, the Korean War Monument. We will walk through the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, the FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt memorials, and we will be picked up at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. A couple other memorials that we will look at that are not on the National Mall, but that we will visit will be the Air Force Memorial. You can see those three spirals. The Air Force Memorial, and we will go to the U.S. Marine Corps Memorial, which depicts the raising of the flag at Mount Suribachi in the Battle of Okinawa that took place in World War II. And I do have this bus here, this Cardinal bus here, because I do want to make it known that one of the benefits of partnering with Prime Tours is that we have upgraded our buses. In the years past, we used Fun Bus. Fun Bus always got us there. They always got us back. But they were typically older buses. Every once in a while, we would have some mechanical issues. When we go with Prime Tours, we use Cardinal buses. We're going to have nice, much upgraded, nicer, newer buses, much more comfortable, much more reliable. There is one day, the Thursday of the trip, where we will be, it's our day out in the city. So we will begin by, and if you can see my cursor right here, we'll begin by taking a picture at the United States Capitol building here in front of the Ulysses S. Grant Memorial. And then this is the other side of the Capitol. This is what you would see if you were on this side of the U.S. Capitol. And then from there, you're going to have about 6 hours to tour the city. Now, students will be with their groups. Students are typically paired up four students to a group with a chaperone, and groups are more than welcome to move around together. But you're going to have a few hours to tour what we refer to as the National Mall. That is where we're going to see the different Smithsonian museums, the National Archives Museum, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Air and Space. All of that is located there. The museum, unfortunately, is no longer open, so that's not someplace that you can go. But you can go to the Library of Congress, and you can go to the U.S. Supreme Court building as well. So the Thursday that we are in Washington, D.C. is kind of students' chance to explore. I will have more information for you about how that's organized. And students will, by the time we leave for this trip, they will have a good idea of the things that they want to see. I'll prep them in class for that. One of the nice things about this trip is that other than your breakfast on Wednesday, we leave on Wednesday, May 12th, other than your breakfast before you get there and your lunch on the first day, which you'll need to have a sack lunch that day, and we'll talk about that in more detail as we get closer. After those two meals, every other meal is taken care of on the entire trip. So when we get into the price of the trip, please remember that all of your meals are paid for. One of those meals is going to be at the Pentagon City Mall. It's a 4-story mall. Students have a wide variety of meal choices there. They'll get a voucher, and they'll be able to eat there. Once we get done eating there, we'll walk across the street to the United States Pentagon, where we will take a few minutes to reflect on the tragic events of 9/11 at the U.S. 9/11 Memorial at the Pentagon. On Friday, we have one major stop on Friday, and that is none other than George Washington's Mount Vernon. We will be eating there. Students will get a lunch voucher for there. They will eat breakfast at the hotel, just like they will on Thursday. On Friday, they'll eat breakfast at the hotel, and then we'll be heading to George Washington's Mount Vernon, where they can tour the mansion, they can check out George Washington's tomb, they can play B. Washington, something that they will know all about by the time we go there. They can see George Washington's last set of dentures. Notice there is no wood there. He did not have wooden teeth. That is a myth. There's lots and lots for them to do at George Washington's Mount Vernon, and it's always my favorite stop of the trip. So those are some of the things that we're going to be seeing on our DC trip. Now, I will be able to provide you a detailed line-by-line trip itinerary once we get closer to the date. So talking about price, the 2021 Washington, D.C. trip will be $475 for students. There are going to be 4 students to a room, and $575 per adult chaperone. And chaperones are roomed 2 to a room. Now, there are instances where there will be 3 students to a room, but we will not be pairing up 5 students to a room. So most students will be in a room with 3 other students. Every now and again, we end up having a group of 3 students. Chaperones, there will only be 2 to a room, period. We're not going to put you in a room of 3, and definitely not in a room of 4. It is important to understand that this price includes admission to all stops, the hotel, and all meals except for breakfast and lunch on the first day. Now, this price is based on a minimum of 90 paid trips. So we need, between parents and students, we're going to need 90 paid trips to make this trip happen at this price. Now, many parents asked, how many chaperones are you looking for? I'm looking for as many parent chaperones as I can get. We need, in reality, we need 25 or more parent chaperones to sign up. That way, we have no more than 4 students to a chaperone. That way, it's easy for you to maneuver with your kids. It's easy for you to keep track of your group. If you are interested in being a parent chaperone, I want to ask you to please email me, Mr. Robinson, and I will be providing my email address at the end of this video. The payment schedule for this DC trip, by Friday, October 30th, I need the $100 deposit, the $100 non-refundable deposit. That gets buses scheduled, that gets hotel rooms reserved, that gets our stops reserved. So I need from each person, both students and chaperones, you each will need to turn in a $100 deposit and registration. And I will be sending out registration packets very soon. On Friday, January 8th, half of your balance will be due. And on Friday, March 5th, the remaining balance will be due. Now, I'm going to be talking about fundraising here in just a moment, but I do want to go over, something that each year we do run into, and I want to make sure is abundantly clear before we go forward with planning for this trip. There are a couple instances that are grounds for removal for this 8th grade DC trip. Number one, if a student is in danger of failing one or more core classes. So if your student, by the time we leave in May, is in danger of failing math, science, ELA, or history, they will be held back from the trip, and we will not be able to offer a refund. So it's very important that your students are keeping up on their work. I know this hybrid and remote learning can be difficult right now, but it is imperative that your student keeps up on their work, because if they are in danger of failing one or more of their core classes, they will not be permitted to go. Other reasons will include excessive, unexcused absences, out-of-school suspension for more than one day. If either of those take place, your student will not be permitted to go. Now, both excessive, unexcused absences and the out-of-school suspension for more than one day, both of these will be at the discretion of administration. Please understand that I am not in any way looking to hold people back from this trip. Every single year, it is our goal that every student goes on this trip. But at the same time, if a student has demonstrated behavior that is unacceptable here at school, we cannot risk taking them to our nation's capital away from school and risking some sort of an incident. So please understand that if either one of these happens, danger of failing one or more core classes, excessive unexcused absences, or out-of-school suspension for more than one day, your student will be removed from the trip, and this will result in a forfeiture of funds that have been paid out of pocket. Now, if you have any questions or concerns about the trip, please, I encourage you to email me at keith.robinson@libertyunion.org. Or if you are interested in being a chaperone, please email me and let me know, and I can fill you in on any details that you may have. Now, I also want to talk for just a minute about fundraising opportunities. One of the things that we pride ourselves in here at Liberty Union Middle School is creating opportunities for students to pay off their trip. I come from a family where when I was in 8th grade, I would not have had the opportunity to go on this trip. $500 or $475 would not have been something my family would have been able to swing. So we do make sure that students have the opportunity to fundraise. And I also want to throw it out there that if money is an issue, money is a legitimate issue, whether it's the deposit or once we get into the year, making your balances, please reach out to me and do it sooner than later. We do have some scholarships that are available, some community members that are willing to sponsor our kids, but we are going to ask that our kids that get sponsored still try to fundraise, still try to offset some of that cost. But please let me know if money is an issue, and we will do everything we can to make money not a reason why your student can't go on this trip. Now, in the past, we have always done a Yankee Candle fundraiser. I was informed about 2 weeks before this video was made and our Google Meet took place that Yankee Candle no longer does school fundraisers. So I had to scramble to find some online fundraisers. Our superintendent has required for this first fundraising opportunity that it be completely online. So with the 2 fundraisers that we are doing, you will not be sending money to me. You will not be collecting any money at all. Orders will be placed online. Orders will be shipped directly to customers' homes. There will be 0 students collecting money or distributing products. The first one that we're going to do is the Charleston Wrap. Charleston Wrap has a number of products that they sell. If you were to click on this link right here, and everyone has a copy of this electronic flyer, it is posted on the all 8th grade Google Classroom. This electronic flyer is there with clickable links. Students can click on this link and they can set up a seller's account. This will be the organization ID that they will need to put in. They'll see a little window like this that they'll create their account. Then it'll also generate a link that they can send to anyone. They can get right online, they can order the product, and your student will get credit for that. Now, both with Charleston Wrap and with our other fundraiser that we're running simultaneously, Superfan. Superfan is a slightly different product, but I thought I would just run a second fundraiser at the same time to try to provide you with more opportunity to raise some money. You can click here to get to the digital catalog. You can click here to set up your seller account. Both Charleston Wrap and Superfan are offering us 40% of the profit. 40% of the profit. So please don't think that if you sell a candle for $25, that $25 towards your trip is being paid for. You get 40% of the profit. Now, I cannot tell you on every single item what that profit is. I can look it up once you've sold those items. But your student will receive 100% of that 40% of profit towards their trip. Liberty Union Schools is not skimming any money off of the top of this fundraiser. I'm organizing these, but I am not collecting any money off of organizing these. These are just 2 different ways to help students raise money for their trip. So you get 40% of the profit, and you will earn 100% of that 40% of the profit. And just to make it known, with Superfan, one of the things that you can sell are these Tervis tumblers. There are all kinds of them, including Ohio State Buckeyes tumblers. Tervis has, or Superfan, has contacted me and informed me that for every 15 Tervis tumblers you sell, not only do you get that 40% profit on each one you sell, you also receive a free tumbler for every 15 tumblers that you sell. So hopefully that is a little incentive for you to sell that product. All right, so I've gone on long enough. I hope this details enough of the trip. I ask you to please reach out to me at keith.robinson@libertyunion.org if you have any questions. Everyone in the 8th grade is eligible for this trip. It does not matter if you are an online learner or a hybrid learner. Everyone is welcome and highly encouraged to attend this trip. Now, let me close with this. I know there are lots of concerns. What happens if I pay for this trip and conditions do not improve in order for us to go to Washington, D.C.? That is a very legitimate complaint, concern. Prime Tours has offered us the following. If we are not able to go and we cancel within 60 days of our departure date, they will refund us everything except for $50. Each student or chaperone that goes, if we do not go and we cancel within 60 days, which our superintendent, Dr. Johnson, understands this, and the decision will be made in time for us to get this refund. You will be given back everything minus a $50 administration fee that is collected by Prime Tours, not by Liberty Union, collected by Prime Tours. That goes to cover his cost of hotel deposits that he has already made for us, bus deposits that he has already made for us, meal vouchers that he has already purchased for us. And he has even said that if a student goes and their parent goes and they've paid, for two trips, one $475 trip and one $575 trip, he's going to return everything other than one $50 charge. So it's not $50 per person if there are more than one person in a family. Now, I cannot legally give back any money that is fundraised. So if you fundraise money and it comes off of your trip, I cannot turn around and write you a check for that. So what we are going to do, if it happens that the DC trip gets canceled, we'll refund you the money that you paid out of pocket minus the $50 deposit. And the money that was fundraised will be split between two charities. We're going to give 50% of it to the Baltimore Food Bank. We're going to give the other 50% of that to an organization called Honor Flight, which sends older American veterans to Washington, D.C. to visit the memorials to the wars that they served in and they fought for. So that is how this will work if the trip is canceled. So I encourage you, reach out to me with any questions. I know I went through this quickly. Please feel free to reach out to me with clarifications on any questions you might have. And I look forward to taking these 8th graders to Washington, D.C. All right, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.